guys. Hello and welcome to episode 24 of Film Stop. You must be wondering what's wrong with this guy. 2 episodes in 2 weeks. Yeah, I know. I'm being productive in this quarantine time. And with me are my close friends who, I don't know why, keep coming back. I don't know if I've been delivering or they're just like sympathetic towards my condition. But I have here Bilbo Baggins. Hey, Bo.
What's up, guys? I'm Bilbert today.
Yes, that's your recording name. I have Pat and Claire. Hey, guys.
Hello, Suraj.
Hello, thanks for having us.
And hello, Bo.
What's up?
And then we have a new member to our returning guests list. I'm saying returning because she has no choice. She will be coming back on here. I'm gonna do one thing. Something different this time. I'm gonna have Pat, Claire, and Bo introduce her because I think it'll be a little stale if I do that. Guys, why don't you introduce the new guest?
So I was going to introduce Magna as your special friend, but given the intro, sub-intro, and no choice about coming back that you already gave, I don't even know what to say. I mean, that sounded pretty good, dude. I'm just going to put it out there.
Wait, what? Thanks, Bo.
Magna is much more than a special friend to our good friend Suraj.
And
she is actually the newest spouse of our group.
Yes,
So weird.
because we're Amish. When you marry one, you marry all. That's so wrong. Sorry.
Suraj's
Sorry.
life partner, his better half, his true north,
Yeah.
his one and only, his everything, his wife.
To be fair, I
his
mean,
fiance.
better half doesn't take a whole lot, so there is that.
Thank you, Claire. Hi, Suraj. Hi, Claire. Hi, Pat. Hi, Bo. It's really nice to be here. This is my first time I'd be recording this.
Yeah, and Meghna, welcome. Do you wanna give us a little bit more? There's about 5 listeners out there who listen to us regularly, including my dad. He knows you well, but do you want to give them, the rest of them, a little bit of a background on yourself?
All right. So, I belong to India, and I have been working here as an assistant professor in law. I teach contracts and company law at times, and I am not very much of a, you won't see me watching movies or very frequently, but I do it sometimes, and yeah, I enjoy it.
What?
So,
You never told me that. Just kidding. Yeah, sorry. Continue.
yeah. So that's
Do you have a favorite movie, Magna?
Yes, as of now, I could think about a few movies, but these are not my favorite movies of all times that that is coming to my mind. So one of the movies that I have recently liked, but I haven't seen it recently, and that was what came into my mind when I had to discuss about it. So is Barfi, and it is a Bollywood movie. I think this movie is directed by Anurag Basu, and I like it, and I have been thinking about it now that you have a lot of time to think about things in quarantine. So, so I think it's a nice movie, and it's a well conceived and well enacted story about a guy named Barfi, and this person is challenged. He cannot hear or he cannot speak. He's both deaf and dumb. So it's all about him and how his character, he makes a lot of changes, or he impacts other people's life, especially of Priyanka Chopra, who is known as Jilmil in the story, and Ileana D'Cruz. So I think it's a nice movie. Would you want me to go, more about it, or? Yeah.
Well, I think that it's important, I guess, to like. Well, you mentioned Priyanka Chopra. I think
Mhm.
Priyanka Chopra is like a very known personality. She's Nick Jonas's wife
Mhm.
now, but I think it's one of her best performances. And people out here in the West who I guess like Priyanka Chopra should definitely check out this movie because of its just the performance that she gives. And I agree with you. Everything Burfi is a movie that is whimsical. It's fun. It's romantic. It's just such a lighthearted movie, and it's very Chaplin-esque in its approach. And the direction is
Mhm.
very Chaplin-esque, which is fun to watch. But yeah, do you? Is there any movies that you or any specific kind of movies that you drift towards? Like any specific genre?
Um, okay, so it would depend upon what am I, what is that I am, I am in terms of mood. What is it that I would want to watch? So currently, I've been watching Harry Potter, and uh,
Woo! Yeah.
Wonder how that happened.
so I've been quite glued to it.
Harry, what did you say?
Hey Claire.
Yes.
Stage one of conversion has begun.
Excellent.
Claire,
Which Harry Potter film are you currently working on?
So I am done watching. So I've been watching it start from the beginning, like all of those, and I am done watching the Deathly Hallows Part One. Yesterday I just watched it, and it's all. The only one that is left is the Deathly Hallows Part Two that I'll be soon watching.
Well, yeah, the five of us watched movie 5 together, Order of the Phoenix, and that was fun. I think I fell asleep though.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
definitely.
Yeah,
had
it's
that.
fun.
and Bo, Pat, and I we got a little tipsy.
That may have happened. So wait, Dobby just died, or are we not allowed to say that for spoilers?
If you haven't watched Harry Potter by now, then
How did you feel when Dobby, took the L?
Oh, that is the sad part of the movie because every time I wouldn't have a lot of faith on Dobby because I would just think that what if he's going to set Harry up and he's going to do something that but at the end when he died for him, it was really a nice, it was a mushy
how could
moment.
you not trust Dobby? Those eyes.
No, Dobby was a troublemaker. Like he didn't mean to do anything bad, but he often got.
Yeah, you're
into
right.
trouble.
You're right. He did actually set him up, and I mean, in the fact that he ended up with or getting trapped under Voldemort's whatever prison or whatever. Yeah. So yeah, you're right. In that way, he did set him up.
Would you say that Dobby
I wouldn't say
extracted Harry from out of Voldemort's castle?
Oh my God.
Now that's a movie I'd watch.
Every time I think of Dobby, I think of Halloween, and I think of Flux, and I want to dress him up as Dobby's.
Yeah, it's nice plan. He's got similar eyes, It's similar
Yeah,
in
he has that innocent look, but I'm about to shit right next to you, like attitude. That works really well. All right, so thank you, Meghna, for giving us that background. Really helps because I think it's important for everyone who's on here to establish like a baseline of our choices and our likes and dislikes because as we review movies, I'm guessing it helps our listeners understand where we're coming from. So with that, guys, we're here to talk about Extraction. And Chris Hemsworth, hello, mate. That was the worst.
Yeah, that was pretty bad.
That was the worst Australian accent you'll ever listen to. But you know what? I'm gonna lean into it. So we're gonna talk about Extraction. We're going to be spoiler free, guys, for the first couple of minutes here, and then I promise you we're gonna dive into it, spoiler filled. It is quarantine zone everywhere, so I'm guessing you guys are all watching Netflix these days. And with that, you've probably noticed that Extraction is their big bonanza release that came out about 2 weeks ago. No, a week ago. No, 2 weeks ago. No, a week ago. A week ago. And I'm guessing some of you watched it, some of you haven't. We're here to talk about the movie. So I'm going to give a quick synopsis. So a black market mercenary who has nothing to lose is hired to rescue the kidnapped son of an imprisoned international crime lord. But in the murky underworld of weapons dealers and drug traffickers, an already deadly mission approaches the impossible. That literally gives nothing away. So the movie is about a kid who gets kidnapped from one of the bad guys by another bad guy, and he goes from India to Bangladesh. For those of you who are geographically challenged, Bangladesh is right next to India, and similar languages but different. And you know what? We can't figure it out ourselves, so we got to get the white people to help us. Chris Hemsworth comes into play, and he is the guy who has been hired, or so it seems, to extract this kid, and that's pretty much the gist of the movie. We'll start with Bo. What did you think? Your high level thoughts?
I mean, overall, so it was fine, I guess. The action sequences were, I thought, generally well done. I mean, there's some slight tweaks or changes I would have preferred, but I think that was kind of the centerpiece and the highlight of the movie. The plot and narrative arcs probably could have done with a little more attention. I mean, they teased at some things, but there wasn't really that much there. Which I think was probably the weak part. But, for what it is, if you watch it almost as if it was a John Wick movie, yeah, sure. Why not?
Well, I would say John Wicks are better, but...
Well, yes, but, yeah. But, that's the category I would put it in my head.
Sure. Yeah. What about you, Pat, Claire?
I mean, I found it entertaining. I'm kind of in the same boat as Bo. It wasn't anything groundbreaking. I didn't think that any of the cinematic sequences were anything special. It's not going to be winning any, editing awards or any special effects awards.
It will be nominated, though, because now the Oscars have been accepting streaming content. Are accepting streaming content, yeah. So I'm sure it'll be. I don't know if it'll be nominated, but I'm sure it'll be put in by Netflix for the nominations. Sorry, continue.
But as I was saying, I actually did really like the interaction between Chris Hemsworth and the little boy.
Ovi.
Yeah, I thought that they had a good kind of straight man, funny man type relationship, that every time that they kind of sat down for like a serious conversation, there were always some jokes in there that I appreciated. So, yeah, overall, pretty good.
Got it. Claire?
I don't know. I mean, this is not normally the type of movie I like to watch, so I guess it fits in line with other movies along those lines, but I think Chris Hemsworth did a really good job. I do like watching Chris Hemsworth. And I agree with Pat that the kid and Chris Hemsworth had a nice chemistry. And I also liked the female supporting actress. I liked her a lot.
Yeah.
But I mean, yeah, I would say it's fine.
Meghna, what do you think?
I think I would agree with Pat and Claire and Bo in terms of, yes, it was an action movie which has pretty much of all all packed action if you would want to watch something like that. In terms of character development in the movie, I don't think there's a lot, because it doesn't give you a lot of in-depth information about who Hemsworth is, or who this person who's the drug lord is. So, but yeah, it's a good action movie. I think that the action scenes are really well shot, and in terms of the plot, I think it could have been a bit more better. But yeah, it's I don't have any complaints. It's a good movie.
Yeah, I thought that given the current condition, quarantine, stuck at home, it's not a bad way to spend your time relaxing. But really, it's not a movie that I would say is even good per se. It's not. It's okay. It's all right. I think I agree with the action. I think the action is good, well choreographed. The cinematography is good. I think that Hemsworth was okay. I actually really liked Saju, the Indian actor who plays Saju, who's a well-known Indian actor, and in India, of course, Randeep Hooda. I really thought he was good. I despised the kid. I did not like him at all. He pissed me off. But I think that in general, it's not a bad 2 hour long watch where your wife will probably sleep off while you're continuing to watch it. But yeah, okay. So with that, what do you guys think? Things that worked, things that didn't work, and this is kind of free for all. I mean, if anyone wants to jump in about things that, spoiler free, of course, if there's anything that you think that worked or didn't work strongly about.
Kind of one thing that Claire and I were at least a little bit, I don't know, we talked while we were watching the movie, is like, why exactly does Chris Hemsworth want the money? In order to do the job. It wasn't quite clear if he was in trouble or if he had monetary issues or kind of what was his motivation exactly. There is a reference kind of early on that maybe he's just a little bit upset with his life or kind of sick of his life, so he's just kind of doing whatever comes along. But I don't know, I didn't really see the motivation from his standpoint. So kind of also to Megna's point is there wasn't really a whole lot of backstory to him. So I think if they would have developed that character a little bit more, then I would have had a little bit more buy-in into him personally.
Yeah, I don't think that there was the backstory or the motivation initially. Towards the middle, they get to the whole connection with the little boy, but aside from that, yeah, it was a little lacking in motivation.
Mm-hmm. I mean, and we'll get into this in the spoiler discussion, but I almost felt like they were very inconsistent with what they were trying to tell. I'm going to hold this point until we get into the spoiler discussion. But I think that they could have done a better job keeping the consistency of the tone that they started with. I thought the first half of the movie was really strong. It really had me hooked. And then it really dropped in the second half. And then about towards the end, it just kind of I don't know, it meandered and it was really stuck on that bridge. And I know I get what they were going with that set piece at the end, but that set piece was not coherent enough for me to be oh, this is great. And Sam Hargrave, the guy who's directed this movie, is the action director for Avenger movies. I mean, the Russo brothers have produced it. So the guys behind this movie are, they're in their own right stalwarts. I'll say stalwarts because of what they've done with the Marvel content. But at this one, it kind of felt shaky, and I'm not talking about the cinematography.
Yeah. Okay. On that shaky point, I actually appreciated that for the most part they had less of the shaky cam, the close in your face, 2 centimeters from your face shaky cam.
Oh yeah, agreed.
I hate that stuff because you can't tell what's going on. It worked okay. Now, I would say it worked well with the first Bourne movie because it was new, and then ever since then it's just been
overdone.
Well, it's not just overdone; it's a crutch for lazy bad cinematography, lazy bad fight choreography. And in this one, it was generally further back, and it was generally very much. It gave you a good sense of spatially where the characters were and what they were doing, and I think that is praiseworthy. In of itself, they try to do some single cut scene type things 1917, but not even half as well. I mean, you could tell they were doing it.
Oh yeah, that really annoyed me.
It was okay. Well. I mean, it was wow, okay, whatever. But returning to maybe the top of the point, I agree. The second half of the movie was probably weaker. The set piece on the bridge and the Scarface kid, I don't know his name. And I kind of
his real name, as Claire pointed out, is Suraj. So you better be careful what you say.
That's just the actor's name, though. I think his name is Farhad.
Yeah, Farhad in the movie.
We can call
The
him
point is
Scarface, though. I
that
like that.
whole theme was like
Bargain brand
I
Scarface.
I see what they were trying to do, but it just didn't work at all for me. Like I'm just like,
Yeah,
all
yeah.
right,
The whole
whatever.
Goonie sequence was laughable at best. I thought it was pretty. It didn't connect for me.
Yeah, yeah. And so I guess like echoing what everyone else said. My major criticism, like I said, I mean, I think the action sequences were well choreographed, well done generally,
Yeah.
and something that nobody else will care about, but I do, is that in terms of some of
Weaponry.
yeah, the physical culture, right? That they got that pretty well. I mean, it wasn't 100%, but it gave a good character to it. But yeah, I mean, overall, like the overarching structure or narrative structure was, I think, the lacking part. And you go into it with that in mind, and it's fine.
Mm-hmm. Meghna, you've been quiet. What are you thinking?
Um, I've been thinking about the whole thing that what I spoke about the characterization in the movie. So that's what I was thinking about because that's one thing that I was not very okay with, and other things we can discuss when we are discussing spoilers.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, so
Yeah, I do want to point out like a few things that I thought that were good. I think that they had good Indian actors. These guys, a few of them are pretty well-known character actors in India. The guy who played Saju, I think he did a really good job.
he did.
I've said it earlier. I think he did a really good job. I connected with him more than I connected with Chris Hemsworth's character, and maybe that's a part of the way it was written to me. I liked how they did not shy away from the language switching. That was good. I hate it when movies sort of cop out on that, like as if
Mhm.
everyone in India knows how to, constantly switch between English and English. A lot of people do in India, but still, I like it when the language is emphasized in the right way. The texture comes through. I also liked how they had somewhat of a poetic sense about the action sequences. So, like for example, when they had the street fights going on, quite often people in the background were just doing their own thing, like as if there's nothing going on, and then until someone would get like blown away by a truck or something, and it was nice to see that because I feel like when you have a population density that is really high, a bunch of people fighting on the streets with knives is shocking, but also not so.
Yeah.
And I don't want to take a dig on anyone, but it's just like it is. I mean, when you think of like all the car zooming past all those streets and things like that, I thought they had some really cool in-car shots. They were doing that some of the 1917 zoom dissolve cinematography, where you zoom in and you dissolve, cut into another shot, and you zoom out. Like they were doing that, but I think that it was well choreographed. Yeah, and one thing that I want to say that I entirely hated with the CGI was that truck blowing up.
Pat and I
that
commented on that too.
Yeah, that was some very bad computer graphics.
Yeah, it was like
Yeah.
just for that scene, Netflix was like, "Oh, you guys have been overboard with the budget here. I'm gonna cut you off."
Yeah, but to your point though, I mean, I really liked. I'm not familiar with any of the Indian actors, but like, I did really like the, seeing into like some Indian culture and Indian, speaking Bengali in one part and English in another, and Hindi. No, I don't. Did they speak Hindi a little bit?
Yeah,
Yeah.
they
Yes,
did.
they did.
And then, yeah, just seeing like the boys' school and how like this is a rich drug lord family live, how they live, and then seeing how the urban cities were like, and then seeing like Australia for a little bit. Maybe they could have elaborated on Australia a little bit more, but
You just want him
that
to
really
elaborate
could have
on
been
Hemsworth
anything.
a little
I know
more.
I just wanted to watch 2 hours of Chris Hemsworth, but
I think I
yeah,
have
I
a
mean, like I
bit
did
of
like
a
that like multiculturalism in the movie.
Mhm.
I thought that was cool.
For me,
Magna,
I
you were
think
saying
I
something?
have a yeah. So I think I have this one issue with the movie that they have picturized a very underprivileged section of how things work in India and in Bangladesh. So they have the use of kids in the movie. They've been used as henchmen in the movie. So I think it's a good thing because they have also picturized about the underprivileged kids in Dhaka and the other areas. But I think this is not how the whole movie is all about how these areas are all about being very underdeveloped. But that's not how it is. That's why I was wondering, would they even show something which is good about India or Bangladesh? But they did show very less of it.
Well, I would say that they did a decent job in the Indian portions. I agree with you about Dhaka. Bangladesh's government and army seemed like it is there to service this crime lord and drug
Yes.
lord. It
Mm,
just did not make sense to me. And
I
some of
agree.
the sequences we'll get to that in the spoiler discussion. But some of these sequences just did not, like the end set piece and the villain's positioning in that set piece just didn't make any sense to me.
Hmm.
And the colonel fighting. I don't know. Some of those things,
Yes.
I think they required you to take cinematic liberties, but um, I, yeah, I am kind of in agreement with you about at least the Bangladesh portions. All right, so with that, we're gonna do the ratings because we're already 25 minutes into this episode. But guys, what would you recommend? And our scale is watch it in the theaters. Wait for I guess watch it multiple times in the theaters. Watch it in the theaters. Wait for it to come out on video on demand, and then don't watch it at all. So we don't have the theaters option. So you have two options. Bo, why don't you start us off?
Yeah, I mean, definitely watch in theaters because that's where it's released. No, well, okay. So I would say if you like action movies and the actiony parts of action movies, yeah, I think it's worth a watch.
Cool. That makes sense.
I would say it's a good hangover movie. So if you're hungover, maybe a Sunday mid morning, early afternoon, laying on the couch, you can tune in, and it'll keep your attention without driving you too crazy.
Agreed.
Yeah, it's almost better when you're not thinking as much about it.
Yeah.
That's
Yes. I agree.
I'd say, ladies, you can watch it with your man, and while the action scenes are going on, you can just Google and look up Chris Hemsworth Instagram.
The movie is one giant Instagram profile of Chris Hemsworth, so I mean that's what it is.
Not that there's anything wrong with that.
No, nothing's wrong with that. I mean, the man's quite perfect.
Yeah. He's almost like a Norse god.
Almost.
Almost. What about you, Magna?
I agree with Pat and Claire. I think it wouldn't be a movie that you would, if you're really looking forward to the movie and if you're not only seeking action, then you are in for some kind of disappointment. But anyways, it's a one-time watch.
I wonder if that's aimed at me because I really asked her to watch it.
No, not really. I told you that I was glued throughout the movie. I wouldn't say that I got disconnected at some point, but yeah.
Yeah. I think that the movie is, I mean, I'm not going to say anything different than what you guys have said. So, yeah, it's on Netflix. If you have time to waste, which most of us have these days, it's 2 hours long. Watch it and watch it with some popcorn and some drinks. And that's that. So with that, guys, we're going to jump into the spoiler-filled discussion, and our spoiler-free discussion went a little long, so we're going to only talk for 10 minutes about this in a spoiler-filled manner. But before we do that, here's a quick break. All right. Welcome back, guys. I know those were two riveting ads, but it's time to dive into our spoiler-filled discussion. So, Pat, I'm gonna randomly pick you to get us started off on our spoiler-filled side. So let me ask you this: what specific scene or set piece comes to your mind when I say really, really good in the movie?
Really, really good.
Yeah, I mean, 'cause relatively speaking, it could just be okay, but
I really liked the opening scene in Australia where you got the two kind of stereotypical Australian guys sitting in the shade drinking beers. And then Chris Hemsworth just wakes up and jumps 100 feet into the water.
and then meditates at the bottom
and then somehow holds his breath and meditates for 90 seconds underwater. I mean, the kind of, I don't know if it's like spunk that goes on in your head or just the creativity that would be involved to come up with something like that. I can appreciate that.
Well, it was memorable, though.
It was definitely.
Yeah. Well, yeah, it was memorable. And then, like, when the little boy mentioned the quote about drowning, you're like, oh, I remember that scene. And then at the end, when the little boy jumps in the water, you're like, oh, this is obvious. I was only half paying attention, and I get it.
Yeah, and well, since you bring it up now, Claire, let's just dive into that. The ending.
Ooh, dive in. I see what you did.
Yeah, ooh. I did not really plan that out, but okay, much of my life has been that. So the ending. Who believes that Chris Hemsworth was standing there by the pool, and who believes not so?
I believe.
Does anyone care?
Thanks, Mo, but I could ask you that when you join this podcast.
Do we need a plug for Bo's Gmail account?
Yeah, Bo, can you please let us know about your Gmail account?
Oh, yeah. If you have any input into anything I've said, you think I'm right, you think I'm wrong, whatever, just send it into I don't care about your opinions @gmail.com.
And if you like guns and you want to send him nudes, he will welcome that. I promise you.
Yeah, even if it's dude nudes, I don't care. Whatever.
Wait, did you say opinion or opinions? Is it plural?
It is. I believe it is plural. Let me check.
I like how Pat asks that same question every time you.
Yes, it is plural.
You give your email.
It's plural and it's UR, not YOUR.
Yes, yes. You are, yes. Uniform Romeo, not completely spelled out.
Oh, Romeo. Yeah.
So, yeah, but I mean, my point is, like, did anyone care whether it was Chris Hemsworth or not? Like, I saw what they were doing, and I was like, oh, they're doing the thing, but I don't care about the thing because they didn't set up anything to make me care about whether the thing was a thing or not. You know what I mean? Like, at that point, you just kind of like, oh, okay, cool, whatever. Either way, it didn't really matter.
This was not the tone you were going for.
No, I kind of liked it because when Chris Hemsworth, like, it appeared that he died, I, like, turned to Pat and I was like, what the fuck? So we watched this whole movie and Chris Hemsworth dies? Like, that's upsetting.
Yeah, but the main character dying is not the worst. Like, a lot of movies it works, right? Like, it really well. So, you think like Gladiator, for instance, that just immediately comes to mind, right? It's in some ways kind of a similar-ish movie. And that worked really well. But it worked because all the things that set up the character made you care about him fulfilling his arc, and there was really nothing left for him, so he's done. Well, but in this case... go ahead.
The key thing is setup there.
Right,
I mean,
right.
Yeah, I feel like it was a little bit... Well, I, for one, am kind of tired of seeing the whole, like, child is dead, and visions of the child and sand play out over and over again. That is starting to get to me in terms of just its impact. And even though I liked that little, like, nugget of information that he chose to go on his third tour while his son was about to die, but it was nice, but it wasn't enough for me.
Yeah.
And I'm sorry, but I want to say this. I have a big issue with how that kid did not give two shits about the guy, Saju, the Indian guy, dying. Like, he literally runs past his dead body, did not even stop, and he knew him longer than he knew Chris Hemsworth. Like,
That's exactly
I
what
get
Pat said.
Yeah,
I
but
made a comment
Chris-
about how, hey, are you going to go with this random white guy who just came to pick you up, or are you going to go
I
with the
did
man
not.
you knew for 20 years?
I could not get over
random-
that.
the random
Look, I
white
don't
guy
think that
has
he
a pretty
liked
awesome
that
beard.
guy at all.
I get it, but when you're in a situation like that where you are like in a completely unknown country, you've been kidnapped, and all these people are there, like the only person I'm gonna be with is this white guy. I did not get it. I get it from a perspective of Chris Hemsworth being the hero of the movie, and they have to establish that relationship for it, but. Like, it just did not. They should have done a better job at telling me why he doesn't care about this other character.
Well, I think we can put your theory to test at your bachelor party. What will you do if you are kidnapped?
The question is, where am I kidnapped? If I'm kidnapped in Dhaka, I'm not gonna stick with the white people because I don't know how much you're gonna know. Not you, but like if a white person came and tried to extract me. But if it was in Thailand, maybe I would stick with Bo. I'm sorry, I'm being a little racist here, but he might get me out of the situation a little better.
Wait, did Chris Hemsworth speak Bengali? Because like remember in the beginning when like they were
Yeah, he
like,
said
"Give me my
2
money."
Mhm.
So he did speak Bengali? I was confused.
There's 2
It
words.
was just 2 words, yes. Yes.
Yeah, but that was weird words to know. Like out of all the words you know how to say "give me proof."
Yeah. Show me proof. I don't know if they established that he didn't know Bengali, but like I think that was their way of saying that, hey, he's a mercenary. He knows languages. Magna, you've been quiet. Tell us something that either got under your skin or a sequence or a set piece that you really loved.
I think pretty much of how the movie started and then how it turned out to be. It didn't really I wouldn't say that it was my favorite shot in the movie, but I would say that I pretty much go for the story and not the action. So I think that how it started with this person, this kid Obi, who was picturized as a nice kid, and who would have thought that he is the son of a drug lord, and he looks like a decent awkward guy, teenage guy, boy, and then he lands himself into all of this. So yeah, I like how the plot shifted from there to the action.
So, like the initial portions of his setup. I mean, you sound like a big setup person. Like you liked the one thing that you did not like about the movie was that there wasn't a lot of background, and the one thing that you liked about it was how they set up Ovi's character. Is that fair to say?
I would say that. Yeah, I would say that.
Although, where in India is a kid who is like 14 or 15 years old allowed in a club? Like even though the friends were drinking orange juice, like I was waiting for them to show like the friend owns the club or friend's dad owns the club or something like that. There's like some reason why they're there, but it was so weird. Nowhere. Let me just say this: like in Mumbai, if you're 15 years old, you are not allowed in a club. Mm-hmm. There's no freaking way you're allowed in a club.
I mean, maybe you just weren't that cool of a 15-year-old. I don't know.
he is the son of a drug lord, so maybe he's got
that doesn't open some doors for people.
They wanted to kill. Yeah, they wanted to pay $10 million to kill him. So
yeah, but like he's walking in with no guards with him. Like he's walking alone in there. It's not like he had people with him. I mean, what is he carrying? Like an ID card? I'm a son of like Mahajan or whatever. Yeah. I don't know. I didn't entirely buy that piece personally.
So that's
what I didn't buy. Yeah, go ahead, Magna.
I was saying that again there was no such background to that how he ended up into the club because from what it seemed to me that this guy didn't he didn't have his own individual identity, and probably if he could get into the club it could be as Suraj said because he knows someone, because he probably sneaked out of his house. That's what I could.
Right, he did. He definitely sneaked out. I mean, he didn't have any people with him, or at least that's how I saw it. Yeah. Sorry, Bo, you were saying something?
Yeah, I was gonna say, what was I gonna say? Oh, yeah, you know what didn't work for me? The kids, like, period. And any of the kids. Maybe at the beginning, you know, some does the whole, oh, hey, she's got a crush on you, whatever. Like, that was fine. But then, past that, any of the
You
kids...
mean the goons?
The goons, but also the main kid, I don't remember his name. I don't think his interaction with Hemsworth made a whole lot of sense. The kids randomly, foreshadowing the whole thing, pulling guns on Hemsworth.
Yeah.
You're like, oh, I see what's happening here. But that, none of that worked for me. I don't know why. Like, maybe because I just really don't like kids. That's very possible. But I just don't think it was well done.
I don't have as much of a jaded view of the world. I do like kids, and I still did not like that sequence. Like, when he goes, like, little shits, and I realized that they were going for, like, a funny sort of take on that sequence. It did not work. And then especially when the main kid, Ovi, says that drowning bit, like, he gives that 2-sentence on that drowning bit, I felt like smacking him in the head. I was like, you idiot. Like, why are you even with this guy? You know, if you were even a little smart, you would have been with the guy that you know is with your dad. Unless you're trying to, like, I don't know if they established it well enough that he hated his dad so much that he wanted to have this, like, Stockholm Syndrome-ish lifestyle. But that did not work. That part did not work. And the character did not work for me.
Well, I mean, he definitely did mention that he's like, I know that my dad kills other kids' parents and stuff. So he definitely recognizes his dad is not a great person.
Right, but, I mean, is it enough for him to want to break away from this dad? I mean, is it enough for you to believe that he actually didn't want to go back to his dad? That you know,
Yeah.
in a situation like that where you've met this white dude, like, I keep saying white dude, not because, like, just because Chris Hemsworth is this character in this movie who is standing out from everyone else in this situation. You know, you meet him just now, and you have no backstory with him. You've never known him before. And then this other dude who you've known for years comes to try to save you, and you're not going to want to break free from Chris Hemsworth and go to him, or, you know, make an effort to go to him. I don't know. It just felt a little bit of a disconnect for me.
Yeah.
Sorry, Claire. I rambled a little bit over there.
No, I do see what you mean. Like, Pat and I were thinking, like, we were talking during the movie, and it did seem a little bit like Stockholm Syndrome.
Yeah.
But I mean, also, I don't think that he respects his dad. I don't think that he likes that guy. You know, he snuck out of the house. The guy wasn't very nice to him when he was little. You know, he was playing the piano at his home, and he said he plays the piano when he's nervous. And then if you, like, think back about how he was playing the piano, it's like he doesn't feel comfortable in that home. I mean, I think maybe to Magna's point, maybe there wasn't enough character development from all the people, and back to the children, like that guy Farhad. I thought his character was interesting, but and I liked, you know, that opening scene when you meet him and he describes, like, oh yeah, he kind of, like, saves the other kids by saying, like, oh yeah, the guy who did it was the guy that you just killed, don't worry about it. You know, that was, like, smart and clever, I thought, for a kid. But it's like I wanted to know more about him, like, how did he get so smart and clever, and, you know, where does he end up? Even though, like, I hate him for killing Chris Hemsworth, it's like I did think he was a somewhat interesting character.
He didn't really kill Chris Hemsworth, did he? Because it was the Colonel Sniper.
No. Well, no.
The Colonel was long gone by the time Hemsworth may have died.
Yeah, Farhad is the guy that shot him in the side of the neck.
Yeah, he shot him in the neck or whatever. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Okay. Yep.
Even that, you know, this guy, he held gun for the first time in his life, probably, or for the, you know, first few times in his life, and he could just manage to pull up a shot that, you know, close.
It wasn't that challenging of a shot. No, throw it out there.
You have quite the experience with the gun, so we're not gonna compare that.
I'm just saying that, like, it wasn't anything that was like, oh my god, that was amazing, right? It was just okay.
All right, so last bit here. What did you guys think about the main antagonist? What were your sentiments about the main antagonist?
At first, I was a little bit confused because it's like, who are we exactly like cheering for here? Because like a bad guy stole another bad guy's son. So it took me a little bit to figure out exactly what was happening in the movie. But I mean, that guy was really bad. He didn't seem like he had any redeeming characteristics. He had a henchman throw like an 8-year-old off a roof. So I mean, once you start killing kids, you kind of you go in my little black book. Let's put it that way.
Yeah.
For me,
Go ahead, Meghna.
I was saying that for me, I think this Amir Asif's character was a lot disappointing because he doesn't look like a drug lord. He looks like someone who's selling sari in a shop or something. Like, what's wrong with this? The whole character and the clothes that he's wearing, and he doesn't really look. He's too young even for a drug lord. I don't know.
He seemed caricaturish to me too. He seemed like the whole overdose of the gold and like the embroidered like whatever suits and things that I
six women at his dinner.
Yeah. I mean, all of that just seemed a little over the top, and I feel like they were going after like a lame sort of overdone remake of like Slumdog Millionaire's Bad Guy, if you guys remember that. With the kids and the peddling and all of that stuff. Also did not understand his like vantage point at the end. Like the whole last, 15-20 minutes where he's just like looking through the binoculars at the bridge. I did not get it. Like, is that how small Taka is, or what the hell? Like, does he watch like cricket games from his matches from his rooftop too? I did not understand. I did like him, the way they killed him off, which was a very like subtle, like just to shoot him off at 8 months later, and her doing it was really good. That was a good choice.
Yeah, can we talk about her for a second? She was probably like the best character in there. I mean, like she didn't do anything, but like in terms of likableness, yes, all the way up there. Well, whatever her name is, I don't know. The female supporting character.
Nick. Nick.
Oh, okay. Apparently, it's Nick. She has good taste in guns too.
At first, I didn't quite understand. Was she using the urinal? And then I was like, no, wait, she's just standing there and shooting. I really got confused at that point.
I liked that part, but then she dragged her dress all through that blood, and I was like,
oh, yeah.
Bummer.
I was going to say, oh, yeah, that was cool. And Claire goes, bummer.
Yeah, I agree with Claire.
It's like, you've killed other people before. Don't you know to move your dress aside?
I also like that she like sniped the colonel out. She was actually a really important character. I mean, there
was like almost a romantic aspect with her and Chris Hemsworth, but then there wasn't.
Yes. That was definitely underexplored, or whatever, because they definitely hinted at it. And I don't know, she seems very dynamic and like in charge, but then like not in any way that really matters to the plot because reasons. But just like popping out of the truck at that end bridge scene and just like, hey, I got this RPG, I'm gonna shoot your helicopter down. That was pretty cool.
Yeah.
I was curious though, Bo, how did you feel about her aim? So like she hit like the back third of the helicopter. I don't know why she just didn't aim for the pilot and blow the whole thing up in the air as opposed to it hitting the bridge.
It's the recoil.
No, it doesn't have anything to do with recoil, really. Like honestly, hitting a helicopter with an RPG is pretty impressive and like mostly luck anyway, probably. So. Yeah, I'll take a hit, over no hit. Anyway.
I really hope that NSA did not tune in right at this moment, because there's 2 Indians on this call. and we still need to get Meghna's visa. So let's just stop talking about that. So I think that there's going to be a sequel to this movie for sure.
Yeah.
Or a spin-off.
Or a spin-off.
Or a prequel.
No, I hope not. I
think if anything, it'll be a prequel.
Really?
Ooh, yeah. I would watch a prequel.
Because it has to be centered around Chris Hemsworth, right? Because otherwise...
But he could be alive.
Yeah, but then that removes the ambiguity, which meant it's like, Like, I feel like they tried for it, so... I don't know.
I almost feel like felt like they were going to do like the whole Taken series where the kid keeps getting kidnapped and like Hemsworth has to keep extracting him.
Well, as long as it's not that.
They do allude to that though when Hemsworth's American buddy is like, "Hey, that guy's a walking corpse. Like he's just going to be killed when he goes back to India."
Oh yeah, do we want to talk about Hopper?
Oh yeah, wait, what? Yes, sorry.
It was just kind of there.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know how to feel about that one. Bo, why don't you get us started on that one?
It was just so completely disjointed. Like I thought that what's his name acted whatever he had well enough. Like I think he did a pretty good job of like kind of a little bit unhinged, slightly crazy guy, but maybe not that crazy. But it was just so. That whole thing seemed very just stuck in there because it felt like it was from an earlier version of the script and they like got rid of most of it but didn't get rid of that part or something. I don't know.
It's because they had promised David Harbour that he would have a scene in the movie and now it was awkward because they cut most of his scenes out. But yeah, no, I agree. I feel like there was one shot or a couple of shots, at least when the action sequences were going on in that house. David Harbour felt weirdly disproportionate to the house. Like he seemed bigger than the ceiling could take. And it felt like one of those Alice in Wonderland sequences to me. I don't know. Maybe it was just me, but or maybe it was the lensing of the camera work. I don't know what it was, but it looked very weird. But yeah, I agree with you on the character side. What do you guys think, Pat, Claire, Meghna?
I got nothing on that guy. He transitional. I guess you call him like a transitional character. He was there for to get him safe for an hour of the evening, and then I can understand why they killed him off.
All right. Well, it sounds like for a movie that we all didn't like love. We have a lot to say, and we're at an hour now. So with that, I think I'm going to close this discussion down. Any final thoughts, guys? Anything at all?
There's just one thing I've been thinking about, Randeep Hooda. So I think he's one of my favorite actors. But I'm a bit disappointed about how he looked in the movie. He's got full-grown hair. He's been badly beaten up most of the times. And yeah.
I'm not sure how I should conclude this podcast now.
Okay, sorry. I just opened.
I'm just kidding.
I agree with Meghna. I do not like the hair either, but I don't know what he looks like normally, but I wasn't totally feeling it.
Oh, he looks good.
Great. On that note, I guess on that note, guys, please don't forget to like, share, subscribe. And we're going to have Meghna show up on this podcast again. Hopefully not for Randeep Hooda movie. And as always, Meghna, Bo, Pat, Claire, thank you so much for being here.
It's been a pleasure, Suraj. Thank you for the opportunity. And God bless.
God bless, and God bless America. Yeah. All right, guys. Have a good one. Bye.
Thank you.
Bye.